And start the recording. Um, and I'll just do a brief introduction. So I'm Dr. Diane Hayden. I am the publisher of Natural Nutmeg Magazine, and I'm excited today because my cohort in this, Marianne Castro, and I have been talking about doing something like this for I don't know how long, calls, video calls, or interviews or whatnot. I mean, it's been years, literally, on what her specialty is, which is pretty much everything related to metaphysics. But most of you who know her for the destiny cards. And I'll let Marianne tell you a little bit about her background. But we actually, funny enough, had a call planned, like our very first call planned for today anyway. We were going to actually talk about doing a like an introduction to what the destiny cards are and talk about the science behind that. And it's something I've been doing for, oh my God, I bet it's been 10 years, maybe longer, with Marianne. And I just love it. And so we had this call planned. We were going to do that. And then we talked and we were like, you know what? Like, maybe we should use this time to talk about the metaphysical meaning behind COVID-19. Like, seems pretty fitting. And we just thought it would be really helpful for people to try and understand what opportunity we're being given. Like that to me is what I'm focusing on, is like intuitively, I really believe that this was meant to happen. There's a reason why this is happening, and that there's a huge opportunity for us. And so we thought it would be really helpful for people to hear our perspective, and also all of Marianne's knowledge about numerology and what the numerological meaning is behind that and all of this. So actually, Marianne, if you want to just give people a brief little bio on you, and then we'll jump into a bunch of questions that I have for you.
Okay. Thank you, Diane. So my name is Marianne Castro, and I am, I guess my formal title is that I'm an integrative psychotherapist, which essentially means that I take ancient wisdoms such as astrology, numerology, personology, and the destiny card system. And I weave those systems into current philosophies regarding psychology and the human psyche that we all collectively share. I'm a psychotherapist that believes that psychology is the study of the human psyche. And psyche, if you look it up in a dictionary, is a Greek word that means soul. So the difference between me, perhaps, and many other practitioners is that I always include soul and what that really means in understanding both myself and other people, and what makes people tick from the inside out. And so I do that, and I'm also, I guess on some level, informally, a metaphysician, although I don't have any doctorate in metaphysics, but I've certainly done a lot of studying experientially, in workshops. I've been to Sedona, I've done, many readings, and I think I innately came here to this planet to help both myself and other people understand the soul, which quite often, once we get to the material plane, gets forgotten about a lot. And we're so focused on survival and living and, money and families and bosses and all kinds of other things that we perhaps forget that we have this energy inside of us that really is dictating life. It's the life-giving force. And unfortunately, I believe that today we're here to discuss the fact that the soul has been feeling pretty neglected. And as a result of that, we may be looking at this virus as indicative of that. And I'm not saying it's the only thing governing it, but it certainly has much to do with it. So at any rate, I combine metaphysics with the current contemporary psyche and try to understand people and myself and the world from the inside out. So today we're looking not only at individual people, but we're looking at all of us collectively in terms of what is soul saying through this COVID-19. What does soul want us to know? What does soul want us to listen to? And I believe that part of the reason that all the distractions have been removed is because we wouldn't be able to hear soul's message unless we got really, really, really quiet. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. I absolutely think you can call yourself a metaphysician. I've been working with you, like I said, for over 10 years, and your wealth and depth of knowledge, it amazes me. I mean, literally, we will do another call on the destiny cards at some point. But literally, I can call Marianne and I could say to her, I met this person July 15th, and she'll rattle off their destiny cards and tell me, like, not only that, but then she'll give me some numerological perspective and, astrological. I'm like, oh my God, how does she, where does she keep all this? It's pretty amazing. So yes, you absolutely were meant to come here to do this. There's no doubt in my mind, for sure. And you're great at it. I mean, just amazing. So
Thank you.
So let's just jump right in. So tell us what the code is for COVID-19 and how you came up with that.
Okay. So when I study soul, I study it in the same way that people who study computers study code for computers. So the soul speaks, I believe, through numbers, through dates of birth. And if we're able to understand, which is what I've attempted to do over the last couple of days, ever since Diane and I made this decision to do this phone call, I've looked at the letters in COVID and the 19 because I believe that the soul is using this virus both biologically, scientifically, spiritually, emotionally, in all ways, to get our attention. And so the COVID-19 in numerology, it's very, very simple. Every single letter in the alphabet is assigned a number. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, all the way until you get to number 9, and then you start it all over again. And every number, 1 through 9, has a specific meaning that defines the experience of what's going on. So COVID-19 is an experience. It is an experience of when I reduce the letters COVID, I get the same number as I get when I reduce the letters of the word virus. So virus and COVID both reduce to an 8. Okay. And 8 in the system of numerology defines power and control on the material plane. The number 19, if I add it together in numerology, reduces to a 1. And if I add the 1 from the 19 to the COVID, which is an 8, the whole experience is defined as a 9. 9 means death of the old, beginning of the new. Endings of life as we know it. It is a universal number because 9 includes all the numbers in it. And my definition of the code for this virus is power and control over the masses. Because in numerology, again, if I were to look at the 1 and the 9, the 1 is the beginning, the 9 is the ending. So it's a continuum. And when I receive a 10 after I add the 1 and the 9 together, what I'm getting is that this is an issue of soul saying the only way we're going to get your attention is to put something into the universe that's going to on some level, cause you to feel controlled and powerless. And that's exactly how we're all feeling right now, is controlled and powerless over a virus that certainly is attacking us medically and biologically. But I believe the deeper meaning is the spiritual meaning, which is, how have we been living our lives? What have we been doing that has allowed us to become so vulnerable to this biological weapon, quote unquote? And I'm not saying it's a biological weapon, but I'm just, because this is not a political discussion, and I don't have,
thank God.
yes, and I don't have any theories about politics in regards to this, but I do have a lot of senses about the spirituality of all of this. So
Right.
at any rate, COVID-19, 8 + 1 = 9, death or the ending of life as we know it. But it also can mean the beginning of a new life. And I think that's where we need to really focus, is that we want to, what opportunity are we given? And I also just want to say, before I turn it back over to Diane, is that the Chinese, ironically, once said a very, very, very long time ago that crisis is opportunity disguised as loss. So, I mean, it's ironic that the Chinese said this, because most of us want to project blame on China for how this all happened. But what is the opportunity inherent in, you know, in the appearance of this virus? What opportunity is it affording us? And what is the loss? What do we have to lose in order to gain the opportunity? What do we need to let go of? What habits, what ways of living are no longer working for us? So,
Yeah,
yep.
a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. Yeah. So I said earlier, you know, that intuitively for me, I feel like this was supposed to happen. You know, there's a powerful reason for it happening, and we have great opportunities. So we talked a lot about oh gosh, we could start, I guess we could go into a little bit about technology and addiction and everything that we talked about from that perspective. And then maybe I just touch, I mean, I think you are of the same mindset as me. Like this was supposed to happen, and
Yes.
And why?
Right. And I have to say that, well, I don't want to say just recently. I've been feeling it for a while now. And I think I may have mentioned to you that Nostradamus, the very famous prophet, had said many, many, many years ago, the human race will be given the gift of technology, and they will abuse it to the point where it could cause some sort of demise of life as we know it, because it will be abused. It will not be used in moderation. And so I think, I have been feeling, as I walk down the halls in my place of employment, as I frequent stores and I frequent parties and where gatherings of people are, I just noticed that it's the culture intuitively feels just so much more isolated. People don't come out of their offices because they have a screen on their desk. And that sort of isolation, regardless of the arguments that can be waged for why technology is such a wonderful addition to our human culture, soul is not in agreement with that, I do not believe. Our minds and our personalities are in agreement with that, and our pocketbooks and our productivity levels. But I don't believe that soul is in agreement with that. And I believe that soul is essentially saying, I'm dying here. I'm not feeling noticed. I'm not feeling, you're not feeling the life that I want you to feel. You're too plugged in. So I think that this is a massive reboot and a deep need for a cleanse on many, 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 many different levels. And I think each individual is responsible for their own self-inventory in terms of what those levels are. I can only speak for myself, but
Right.
So
Yeah.
that, I mean, and I think the other piece that I also want to say is that, I believe in energetic medicine. And by that, I mean that different organs in the body are vulnerable based on what kind of a story or what kind of a purpose that organ has. Well, this particular virus seems to really attack the lungs. It's a respiratory illness. And so when I think about the lungs, I think about two very important things, that the lungs are the organs for life and breath. Without them, obviously, we're not here if we're not breathing. And the other piece is that they are also the organs energetically for holding grief. And I think that our culture has been grieving individually, microcosmically, and macrocosmically for years and years and years. And most of us are not comfortable with the process of emoting grief. I mean, if I were to get a nickel for every single time I've had a patient apologize to me for why they're using a tissue to process their tears, I wouldn't have to work again. I mean, people are not comfortable with processing grief and emoting it. So just think about all the people in the world who have not processed their traumas and their grief. Now we've got this deep underbelly of massive emotion that we medicate with all our different distractions that we have in the world. And so this is an opportunity to get in touch with our feelings. And we get in touch with our feelings by being back in touch with people, with nature, with relationships. We remember the hurts, we remember the pain, it's all of that. So the lungs, I think, are also very specific to why this virus is saying, this is about your life, guys. This is about, breathing. And this is also about letting go of all those tears that are inside there that have not been able to be processed. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm distracted for a second because I'm seeing something on my Zoom call. I'm not sure if it's only going to allow me to record or it's saying something about remaining meeting time. So I'm having a quick conversation with my IT director.
Okay.
So I'm just going to prompt you with another question.
Okay.
Did we talk about the part where like we were talking about addiction, and you and I had said, money, fame, and power can be addictive, just like drugs and food and alcohol.
Yes.
And how this relates to, you were saying like the power is what you're getting from COVID.
Right.
Yep. Like what the spiritual meaning, I guess, and
yeah.
how what is it trying to tell us as far as our addiction to power?
Right. And good question. I believe that what it's telling us is that soul is diminishing and ego is expanding. So the acronym for ego is edging God out, or edging soul out, or spirit out. And what you're asking is that these other gods, so to speak, which would be fame, power, money, any are called process addictions. And a process addiction is an addiction to rising above what I intuitively know, believing that, we're in a very much a selfie generation, a generation where ego is exalted and productivity is exalted and consumerism and anything that supports the body and the material plane. There's no concept of, what's really supporting me as a human being? How is my life feeling valued? It's more about supporting these other false gods of power and fame and money that are, I think, destroying us in many ways. So yeah, that's a huge piece. And I think that we've certainly seen it in government. We've seen it in how we complain about, there's no equity between the rich and the poor. I mean, it's all about me, I. If we go back to the code, which I think is a comfortable place for me, I really want to say that when I look at COVID, the CO in code also translates into being a 9, okay? And then if I look at the healing words or the relief words for a virus or for addiction, which I believe is also a virus, community and connection also start with a CO. If addiction or this virus is the disease, then community and connection, which we have all started to plug into over the last week or two, is the medicine, the connection with other people, the getting creative about calling people and FaceTiming them now. Now we're interested in seeing people's faces, which we weren't interested in before. Now we're interested in taking the kids outside and going for a walk in nature, which we didn't have, quote unquote, time for before. So this idea of connection and community, the CO, COVID, connection, community, these are all 9 energies.
Hey, Marianne, can I just interrupt you for a second? Because I don't know what is going on, because we have an upgraded Zoom, but it's telling me that we have less than a minute left.
Oh.
So if for some reason the call drops, everybody, the link will be the same. Just give us like a couple minutes to get it back up again, and everybody will just have to, click on the link or dial back in. So I'm not sure, this is like weird, because I've had a Zoom account for years, and we've used this with many people on it, and I pay for it, so I have the upgraded version. It's telling me that I need to upgrade to have it go longer than 40 minutes. So it's bizarre.
So I'm back to the concept of power and control again. So
yeah.
We're being controlled.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're powerless
totally.
right now.
Totally.
Oh, I hear you. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we'll keep going, and if it ends up just booting us off, then like I said to everybody, just my friend Amy is saying it might be because of the high usage of their platform right now.
Oh,
there you have it. So like I said, if it drops, everybody gets booted off, just give it a couple of minutes, and then if whoever wants to dial back in, we'll keep going.
Right.
So did you want to say anything else about that, or?
No, I think that's it. Just all the COs. I think that those are all, both, they're telling from a code level, and code